The mall was already loud, people talking, footsteps echoing, announcements blaring. But the moment we struck the opening chords of Canon Rock, everything else blurred into silence. It was just us, the guitars, and the bright hum of expectation from the crowd slowly gathering around. Our fingers danced across the strings, every note sharper, faster, cleaner than the last. People stopped mid-walk. Heads turned. Phones lifted. The melody spread through the atrium like electricity, snapping every passerby into attention. By the time we hit the first sweep-picking run, a full circle of people had formed around us. Kids sat on the floor. Teenagers leaned over the railing from the second floor. A couple whispered to each other, shocked at the sound coming from two teenagers with cheap amps and too much confidence. And somewhere inside that circle, you could feel it. That spark. That moment when a random public space transforms into a concert. The solo kicked in. The crowd erupted, cheering like they'd been waiting their whole life for someone to play Canon Rock in a shopping mall on a random afternoon. My pick sliced air, my partner hit harmonies perfectly, and for a moment everything felt cinematic, every person catching their breath as the guitar screamed through the riff. Then it happened. A shadow moved in the corner of my vision. Blue uniform. Black boots. A face that meant business. A security guard stepped forward, pushing gently but firmly through the crowd. People parted instantly. His presence cut through the music like a warning siren. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He didn't even blink. He just walked straight toward us, one hand raised as if to say, "Stop." The energy shifted so fast it felt like the ground tilted. The cheers turned into murmurs. A few people lowered their phones. One man groaned out loud. "Not again." We kept playing, hoping, praying, that maybe he wasn't here for us. But he was. He stepped right in front of us, blocking the audience. I hit a wrong note. The final bend of the phrase died awkwardly. My friend froze with his pick raised mid-air. The air went tight, like everyone was holding one breath together. The guard looked from one guitar to the other, then at our tiny amp, then at the crowd. Silence. All you could hear was the faint mall music playing from faraway speakers, mocking us with a soft jazz tune. The guard's face didn't change. Not a smile. Not a frown. Just a heavy stare that said, "You two are in trouble." Someone whispered, "He's shutting them down." Another said, "Yar, performance kadam ho gaya." A kid tugged at his mother's shirt, asking, "Mama, why is he stopping them?" I swallowed hard. My fingers trembled on the fretboard. My friend shot me a look that said everything. "Bro, this is it. We're done." The guard took one slow step closer. Then another. He lifted his hand. And the entire mall leaned in to see what would happen next. The guard's boots stopped exactly one step away from my pedal board. Close enough that I could see the scratches on his belt buckle, the tiny crack in his watch screen, and the way his brows locked together in absolute seriousness. My breath hitched. My friend's pick slipped from his fingers and clattered on the floor like a gunshot. The guard slowly pointed at my guitar. "Is this one yours?" he asked, voice deep and unreadable. My throat dried up. "Why, yes, sir." He nodded once, slow, controlled, like he was inspecting a crime scene. People pushed closer. Dozens of phones were now pointed directly at us. The crowd wasn't just watching, they were waiting. Waiting for a shutdown. Waiting for drama. Waiting for the inevitable ending of this little moment of happiness. The guard leaned forward, studying the strings, the bridge, the pickups. His eyes narrowed. "You're using a Floyd Rose," he said. My friend blinked. I blinked. We both stared at him, confused and terrified. "Yes," I answered cautiously. He straightened up. And for the first time since he arrived, something shifted in his expression. Not a smile. Not annoyance. Something else. Something like recognition. "How long have you been playing?" he asked. A few people in the crowd exchanged looks. Someone whispered, "Wait, what?" 7 years?" I said. He turned to my friend. And you? 5 years, my friend replied. The guard let out a slow, thoughtful breath. Then he did the most unexpected thing imaginable. He knelt down. The entire mall gasped. He wasn't kneeling to stop us. He wasn't unplugging anything. He wasn't even scolding us. He was staring at my tremolo system like a mechanic admiring an engine. You boys adjusted this yourselves? He asked. I hesitated, unsure if this was a trick question. Yes? His face finally cracked, not into a smile, but into the faintest, rarest spark of appreciation. That's clean work, he said. Most people don't know how to set these up properly. My friend and I stared at each other like two idiots trying to understand a math equation upside down. The crowd began buzzing. Phones tilted closer. Someone whispered, "Is he complimenting them?" The guard stood up again, brushed off his knees, and folded his arms. You know, he said, when I was your age. The crowd leaned in. I used to play this exact same song. If the mall had a roof, it would have blown off right then. Gasps. Cheers. Someone yelled. And no way. The guard didn't react. He just kept staring at us with that quiet intensity. Then he stepped even closer, so close he could have turned off my amp with one flick of his finger. Instead, he bent forward slightly and whispered, "Play that solo again." My heart stopped. He wasn't shutting us down. He wanted an encore. For a moment, I wasn't sure I heard him correctly. The security guard, this towering, silent, stone-faced figure, wanted us to play the solo again. Not just the song. Not just a small part of it. The solo. My friend mouthed the words silently. Bro. What? The crowd erupted before we could respond. A ripple of laughter, cheers, applause, disbelief. Someone yelled, "Security Uncle rocks!" while another shouted, "Encore! Encore!" Phones were recording from every angle, catching the exact moment the guard changed from the villain of the scene to the unexpected hero. The guard didn't flinch. He just nodded at us with the dead serious expression of a man about to judge a competition. Start from the pre-solo build-up, he instructed, like he had done this 100 times. My partner and I scrambled back into position. My hands still trembled. Adrenaline buzzed through my fingers. The entire mall hummed with anticipation. I counted us in. 3, 2, 1. We launched into the build-up riff, clean, tense, building like a storm. This time, the crowd was louder than the amps. Claps echoed. Whistles sliced the air. People on the second and third floors leaned over the glass railings, filming every second. The guard's posture changed. His shoulders relaxed slightly. His foot tapped, barely noticeable, but unmistakably in rhythm. He wasn't just listening. He was feeling it. My partner hit the harmony line. Perfect. Sharp. A direct chord to the crowd's chest. And then, I slid into the solo. Every note rang clearer than the first time. My fingers loosened. My confidence returned. The sweep arpeggios sliced through the mall atrium like sparks. Bends soared. Tapping runs flashed so fast they made people gasp out loud. Midway through the solo, something strange happened. The guard stepped closer. Not to stop us, but to conduct the crowd. He raised his hand, palm open, moving it in steady waves. The crowd responded instantly, clapping in rhythm, cheering on beat, creating a wall of sound behind our guitars. Kids jumped up and down. Teenagers screamed like they were at a rock concert. Even the shop workers peeked out from their stores, abandoning customers to watch the chaos. The energy shifted from performance to event. The guard nodded again, this time with a small hint of nostalgia in his eyes. You boys play clean, he murmured under his breath, almost proud. I hit the final string bend, holding it high, letting the note ring until it melted into the air. The mall exploded into applause. The guard lifted his hand once more, as if preparing to make an announcement. We froze. He opened his mouth. I think, he began. The crowd went silent. You two still have one thing missing. My partner whispered. Missing? Bro, what? The guard reached behind his belt. Not for a baton. Not for a walkie-talkie. But for something small. Metallic. Shiny. A harmonica. For a heartbeat, nobody knew what they were looking at. A harmonica? From a security guard? In the middle of a rock performance? The guard held it gently, almost reverently, like it was something far more important than a simple instrument. The polished metal caught the mall lights, sending a tiny streak of reflection across his uniform badge. My friend whispered, Bro, is he about to? I couldn't answer. I could only stare. The guard wiped the harmonica on his sleeve, slowly, like a ritual, and then looked straight at us. You played your part, he said quietly. Now let me play mine. The crowd erupted in screams. He stepped beside us, not in front, not behind, but shoulder to shoulder like he had been part of the band all along. His presence suddenly felt different. Not intimidating. Not authoritative. Comfortable. Warm. Like an old musician stepping back into the spotlight he'd left years ago. He nodded once. A silent cue. So we hit the next riff. The heavy rhythm section after the solo. Power chords. Palm mutes. Sharp accents. And then he joined in. The harmonica wailed. Not gently. Not tentatively. But with the full force of someone who had lived inside music for years. The notes didn't clash. They slid into the melody, weaving between the guitar lines like a dancing flame. The guard bent his knees slightly, swaying with the beat, eyes closed as if he'd been waiting his entire life to do this again. The mall transformed. Shoppers stopped in their tracks. Kids screamed with excitement. People ran from escalators just to see what the noise was. A woman shouted, "Is this real life?" Someone else yelled, "The guard is a rock star." A teenage boy near the railing screamed, "This is going viral." The guard played with surprising skill, long bends, trembling vibratos, even fast rhythmic punches that matched our guitar chugs. Each note from his harmonica added something raw and soulful to the track, turning Canon Rock into something completely new. Something alive. My partner and I exchanged a look mid-riff. A look that said, "What is happening right now? How is this actually happening?" And also, "This is the coolest thing ever." We backed him up, adjusting our playing to let him carry the spotlight. For a moment, the crowd wasn't watching us, they were watching him. A uniformed security guard, eyes closed, harmonica blazing like a blues master reborn. And then, mid-riff, he took a dramatic step forward. The crowd roared like a stadium. He hit one final high note, bending it so hard the sound practically tore through the open atrium. The note hovered, trembling, ringing beautifully in the air. He lowered the harmonica, opened his eyes, looked straight at us, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "This is how you respond to a noise complaint." The crowd exploded into laughter and applause. But before we could celebrate, a figure appeared behind the guard. Moving fast, wearing a suit, face stiff with authority. The mall manager. And he did not look amused. The mall manager cut through the cheering crowd like a blade. Tall. Formal. Not smiling. Not blinking. Every step he took screamed one thing. Someone's in trouble. The applause softened. Whispers rippled around us. "Oh no. The manager's here. Yar, ab to pack a band bajne wala hai." The security guard straightened instinctively, snapping back into professional posture. The harmonica vanished behind his belt in one smooth, guilty motion. He looked like a kid caught stealing cookies from the jar. My partner leaned toward me. "Bro, we're dead." The manager stopped right in front of us. Cold eyes. Stiff jaw. Authority radiating off him like heat. He pointed at the guard. Not at us. At him. "You." The crowd held its breath. The guard swallowed. The manager's voice boomed. "How many times do I have to tell you? The pause stretched so long it hurt. People braced for impact. Not to steal the show without me. The entire mall exploded. Screams. Laughter. Applause. Someone on the second floor almost dropped their phone. A little kid shouted, "Manager, Uncle flexing!" The guard slumped in relief, face finally breaking into a grin. "Oh, sir, you scared me." The manager clapped him on the back. "Scared you? You took over the whole mall again. Next time at least call me. I wanted to grab my saxophone." The crowd went absolutely wild. The manager turned to us then, and, completely unexpectedly, he pulled us both into a quick side hug like we were old teammates. His serious expression melted into pure pride. "You boys," he said, "are something special. That solo? Incredible." He looked at our tiny speaker. "And on that amp? Miracles!" We laughed, shaking our heads in disbelief. Then he cleared his throat, raised his hand, and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "How about a real performance?" The entire mall fell silent. "A proper stage," he continued. "Lighting. Sound system. Security." He pointed at the guard. "And a harmonica solo by our beloved troublemaker." The guard puffed his chest proudly. "We'll make it official," the manager added. "Next weekend. Same place. Bigger speakers." The crowd cheered like a festival had just been announced. People were shouting, "I'm coming! This is gonna be legendary! Yeah, boys! Harmonica Uncle forever!" My friend and I looked at each other. Sweaty. Breathless. Overwhelmed. But smiling like idiots. We plugged back in. Nodded at each other. And hit one final, thunderous power chord that blasted through the atrium. A sound that echoed like the beginning of something bigger. The guard raised his harmonica triumphantly. The manager crossed his arms proudly. The crowd erupted one last time. And as everything shook with applause, cheers, and laughter, only one thought ran through my mind.